Bobby, it's fascinating. Your column came out, and it was a big story, Tyre Nichols, and it seems like, I don't know what the reason could be, but the Tyre Nichols story has really evaporated from the front pages. There is an effort here to keep this going by saying a black cop or a bunch of black cops killing a black man is still racism, but that seems to be the only thing they're hanging their hats on now.
Yeah, first of all, I appreciate you having me on, Stu. The Tyre Nichols story, like almost any story that's an atrocity or tragedy, it stays in the news as long as it's advantageous for news outlets to keep it in the news. As time waned, I think people started to realize, at least hopefully they did, and I think I laid it out pretty well in my column, that the whole narrative around this, that it was white supremacy proof, that white supremacy plagues police forces across the nation, even if the police are not white, really was a sham. There was no proof that it was racially motivated or that the police were black, white, nationalists, whatever that means. I heard that phrase on CNN. But the point of my column is that we kept hearing in the aftermath of the body cam footage that is proof of white supremacy, that even though 5 black cops killed him, it still was in the name of racism. And I started to dive into what racial tensions lead to, who benefits from racial hysteria. And Stu, it seems quite clear to me that Tyre Nichols' death was not proof that white supremacy exists across the nation on a macro level. It proves that there's a need to keep racial tensions inflamed across the country. Political leaders benefit mightily from racial tensions. Democrats ran in 2020 on the racial reckoning, saying that Republicans are not doing enough, and what happened to George Floyd is racist, and it's the fault of Republicans. You have media members, whether it be Joy Reid, Jamel Hill, Don Lemon, sometimes Chris Cuomo, their entire shtick is often based on the idea that white nationalists are coming to haunt people and coming to kill people. Al Sharpton, this one character on Twitter, I get a kick out of him. His name is Bishop Talbert Swan. His entire career and finances are based on going to tragic events and convincing people that racism causes. So there is such a demand to uncover racial hysteria and racism in America, but the supply is just not there. There's no proof of it, Stu. I mean, look, there's always going to be racism on a micro level by virtue of bad individual actors. But on a macro level, I don't see it. I don't see racism in the police force. I certainly don't see it in corporate America when all the initiatives are actually to hold back white people in the name of equity. So this is a lie that has been propagated by media, Hollywood, sports, and entertainment. And the Tyre Nichols situation was no different.
It's really fascinating. I love what you said about how there's just more supply or more demand than there is supply. I mean, and that's a wonderful thing. The fact that, Americans aren't super racist and they aren't continually thinking about this stuff all the time is great. Though I do think the left and academia are trying to reverse that. They want more of this stuff out there. And I keep seeing, like, of course you get these viral TikToks and you get these commentators who are talking about this stuff. And they often say, like, they talk about, white people sit around all day and just look and obsess about how to keep black bodies in the ground and all these weird statements. It's like, I got news for you. And this, I don't know what this says about me, but like, I just don't spend a lot of time thinking about skin color. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about black people as a separate from regular white people, regular Hispanic people, regular Asian people, regular black people. They're all just sort of regular people to me. And I think that's the way, I thought that's what we were shooting for, but that has all been exploded lately.
But Stu, and what you just said is that would make you a racist in the mind of the left, because if you look at what the term anti-racist has come to mean, they say just not being racist is not enough. You need to be an anti-racist, which means you have to actively seek and see skin color at every stop and tell people you're white, you must atone for the past, you're black, you're a victim. What I find so frightening is that the push, I mean, first of all, the left has staked their entire claim to the cultural war on the hypothesis that white supremacy plagues America. That is their entire claim to it. Everything they do is rooted in that idea. Now, there's been some wiggle room now because the trans issues are starting to really, the left is really starting to hammer those and say you're transphobic. But by and large, 80 to 90% of their fights are about racism. So their idea is the opposite of creating a colorblind society. They want to racialize society to their benefit because that is their best form of messaging, because still despite all the unjust and baseless claims, people are still afraid to get called a racist. Even despite any evidence, if somebody labels you a racist, that can haunt you, cost you your job, and cost you your standing. So that word still carries immense power despite being proven. It doesn't really mean that much anymore because the people given the label are not honest brokers.
Yeah, who's obsessed with who? I don't even understand anymore because they're constantly saying that, white people sit around and plot against black people. Not my experience.
If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to our channel so you'll be sure to see similar videos from BlazeTV with the added bonus of signaling YouTube that your voice and opinion still matters. And if you're looking for more great conservative content, check out one of the 2 videos suggested here.